One of the simplest, most impressive dinners ever, a roasted beef tenderloin, is so simple and irresistible. Let me show you how to make it. Hey everybody, I'm Kelly with the Suburban Soapbox, and today we are making a beef tenderloin roast. This is one of the more expensive cuts of beef, but it's super tender, and what I love most about it is if you're feeding a crowd, it can go a long way. So you're really stretching a dollar here. And it is almost foolproof. So even if you overcook it just a little bit, it's still going to be buttery and tender and juicy and perfect. So to get started, you just need a beef tenderloin roast. I like to have about a pound per person because beef tenderloin is really lean, and if you're having a dinner party, then you probably want to err on the side of like giving them a little bit more than you think they're going to need. So a pound a person is probably a good bet. You can also do like a half a pound if you're going to supplement it with some other things like appetizers or sides or whatnot. So we have our beef tenderloin roast, and this one has already been trimmed. So you want to trim it, if it's not already trimmed, of some of that like bigger pieces of fat that are on here. So you want to trim all of that off, and then also remove the silver skin. So the silver skin is kind of like this piece here. You'll see this. That is wrapped around the whole tenderloin. And so you can easily like stick a knife under there and then stick your finger under and lift it up, and it should just peel away. So this one's already been trimmed. And then you need some kitchen twine, a meat thermometer, olive oil, salt, and pepper. This is the simplest recipe ever. Don't be stressed out with the fact that this is like a very prime piece of meat, because this is so easy to do. So to tie it, you want to make sure you're tying your beef tenderloin if it's not evenly cut. So we have like this piece here and this piece here. And it's important to tie it because you want to make sure that it's going to cook evenly all the way through. So you want to make sure that the whole sides of it is uniform. And to do that, we tie it with kitchen twine. So I'm just going to kind of pat this dry a little bit with a paper towel. You want to pat this dry so you don't have a lot of moisture on the outside, and then you get like a nice sear on the outside. And then you just want to take like a really long piece of kitchen twine, and we're going to start at this end. And there's a method to it, and you can really just like tie it with like little pieces, but this is like so much easier to do this way. So we're just gonna wrap the kitchen twine underneath this end here, and you're gonna tie it off. And it doesn't have to be super tight. And then I'm gonna turn it this way because you wanna kind of do it like coming towards you. And you're just gonna loop it like that and shimmy it up to about here, and then pull that tight there. And you're just gonna repeat that all the way along your roast. And we're gonna have a middle section that's like a little bit leaner, a little not so girthy. But we'll do our best to make sure that it's all uniform all the way down. Kind of push this piece up a little bit there and tie that. And then one more loop. And then you're just gonna tie a knot at the end here. So we'll just go underneath like that. And then knot it, and then we're just gonna cut off the excess. And now we're just gonna coat the whole thing in olive oil and then season it liberally with salt and pepper. So we'll just drizzle a little bit of olive oil on here, coat it on all sides with that olive oil. And some people like to use like a Dijon mustard. That's like a French technique, I think. Don't quote me on that. And then they'll season it with some herbs too. So there are like other seasonings that you can add to, oh, that was a lot. There are other seasonings that you can add to your tenderloin. I just like to keep it simple because then if you're serving it with some sauce like a béarnaise or a hollandaise sauce or something like that, maybe like a au poivre sauce, then your flavor is simple and you don't have to worry about like combinations of flavors melding together in not a very favorable way. Plus for the holidays, you just want something really simple anyway, so this is definitely a good way to go. And be careful with the pepper. You kind of don't want to go as liberally as the salt on this because we're going to sear this on the cooktop. So we want to make sure that we're not burning those kernels of black pepper, the peppercorns. And that's it. So you can do this a few hours before. You want to make sure that your beef tenderloin roast is room temperature before you get started. This is going to ensure that we're cooking it evenly all the way through, and then you don't have like overcooked spots on the outside and then it's like really rare in the center. This is going to cook beautifully all the way through, and then we're going to pop it in the oven at 500 degrees and finish it off. First, I'm going to wash my hands. So to cook the tenderloin on the stove top and just get it seared, we're going to heat the pan over high heat. You can use a roasting pan or a baking sheet. I prefer a baking sheet because I feel like the heat distribution is better with the low sides of the pan, but you can use a roasting pan and that works well as well. Add the tenderloin to the pan and sear the beef on all sides until a golden brown crust is formed. This will take you about 10 minutes. After you have your beef seared on all sides, we're going to take it to the oven and roast it in the oven for 20 minutes. So our beef tenderloin is finished and I covered it with foil. So you want to tent it with foil and let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes. You can even do longer because this is something that you can serve hot or you can serve at room temperature. It's great for a buffet, for like beef tenderloin sandwiches. It's beautiful and golden, and you can see like it's completely golden brown all around. When you test it with the meat thermometer, you want it to be like around 130, 135. That's for like medium rare. This is like a more rare side because it's thicker. The center is definitely gonna be more done. We're at 145, which is like a medium well. And then this end is about 139, so you're medium rare there. It's great if you have guests who would like something that's a little more cooked than medium rare. So this is perfect for everyone. So I'm just gonna transfer it to my cutting board and we're gonna slice it up. All right. So to cut a beef tenderloin, I like to use an electric knife. It just makes it so much simpler to get uniform slices. And I want to turn it this way because I want to cut this end first. Oops. So we'll just do some thinner slices and cut off this end. And you can see this end is like more of a medium, but when we cut, it's like perfectly cooked. So I'm just gonna cut the rest of the roast and then I'll plate it and we'll serve it up with some horseradish sauce. So I like these big cutting boards because you can actually arrange your beef on here and serve it this way with all the juice. So I'm just gonna take a bite. I love to serve it with my homemade horseradish sauce, and you can actually get that recipe on YouTube. I have a video for that as well. It takes 2 minutes at best to make, and it's so, so good. So I'm gonna get this little piece here, get a little of this juice that's coming out. My dog smells the beef tenderloin and he's like, I want a piece of that. So I'm just gonna put that there and do a little dip. It's so good. Like perfect. You get a little of the crust of the outside with that saltiness from when we seared it. It's tender and juicy inside. It is so perfect. There's a lot of juice on this board, You want that. That is all flavor. If I had let it rest just a little bit more, there would be a little less of the juice coming out, but it is what it is. So make sure that you serve that just as it is so you can get all of that flavor back into your beef tenderloin. If you like this recipe, please be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. For more easy recipes, visit thesuburbansoapbox.com. Thanks again. What? You want a piece? Sit. Oh, you're such a good dog. No more.